Hey there, class. Mr. Pusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're continuing with Chapter 4, which is about triangles and congruence. 4.2 is about, the name of the lesson is Applied Congruence in Triangles. Essential question is, how do we identify congruent figures? So we have a warm-up here. It says, identify the following triangles by their angles and sides. See if you can either use your notes or see if you remember how to label these. Go ahead. All right, so the first one is going to be, the angles are all acute. So it's going to be an acute, and there are two tick marks here, two congruent sides, which means it is isosceles. An acute isosceles triangle. All right, this one, letter B. We have three congruent sides and three congruent angles. Excuse me. This is a equilateral triangle. All right, you don't need equiangular and equilateral. One implies the other, so that is good. All right, we got some definitions here. So, congruent figures. In two congruent figures, all the parts of one figure are matching, or what? Are matching to the corresponding parts of the other figure. Okay? Corresponding parts in congruent polygons, the corresponding sides and angles. The what? Corresponding sides and angles. And a congruent statement is a statement which matches corresponding parts of congruent figures. Corresponding, like we talked about with corresponding angles, basically corresponding just means matching. It says it's a good idea to make a congruent statement before matching corresponding parts of figures. Okay? And it says when you're making a congruent statement, you want to choose a unique side or angle as your starting point so you can easily match the corresponding parts. Okay? So let's do an example down here. We have example 1, identify congruent parts. It says write a congruent statement for the triangles, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We have, what kind of shapes are over here? Well, we have two triangles. I'm gonna write triangle, okay? So I'm gonna start with the most unique side or angle. So we have this triangle right here, right? What's the most unique angle you see here? Hopefully you said angle A, right? Because that's a right angle. So we're going to do right angle, and then we're going to go around the triangle. We can go either clockwise or counterclockwise. It doesn't really matter which way. I'm going to go to B. So I'm going to do A, and then B, and then from B we go to C, okay? And then we're going to write the congruent symbol. This is a congruent statement. Is congruent to triangle. Now we're going to match, this triangle to the other triangle. So, for A was the right angle in the first triangle. What's the right angle of the second triangle? Well, it's F, right? Okay, and you can see for A, B, C, we can see we went to one arc. So which one has one arc on the other triangle? Well, we have G, so we got F, G, and then the last one we have was two arcs, and that was H. We have F, G, H. Now, the nice thing about this is now we can kind of match all the corresponding sides and parts here, okay? So let's do that. So let's go ahead and say angle A is congruent to which angle? Let's use different colors, actually. Let me use different colors here. So angle A is congruent to what angle? We have angle A and angle F. This is why the congruent statement is really helpful, because it basically just matches it up for us. Then we have angle B is congruent to what angle? Angle G. And then we have angle C is congruent to what angle? Angle C and angle H. You can do it by looking at the diagram too, but I find the congruent statements to be very useful. Okay, now we gotta do side lengths. So we have AB matches with which side in the other triangle? So we have AB is right here. Which one over here? We have FG, right? So AB and FG. So AB is congruent to FG. And then we have, the second one we have is BC matches with GH. And again, you can look at the diagram, but I find once you write your congruent statement, it makes it a lot easier to figure it out. We have GH. And then we have AC matches with FH. And it's important to go in the right order too, so that's why we took a lot of time working on the congruent statement, because it makes things pretty easy to see. Okay? So that's how you do it. You make a congruent statement, you match up the angles, and make sure you go in the same order with both, and then you can, you can figure out which angles and sides match up. All right, second example. We have this one right here. It says in a diagram that QRST is congruent to WXYZ. It says find the value of X. Okay. Well, let's take a look at this here. So I see an X right here, and I see an X right here. So y minus x we can't really do anything with because we only need one. We need one letter to be able to solve this, or one variable. So what does 5x plus 5 match with? Well, this is w, right? So w should match with q. Well, what's q? Well, q is 65. So we can actually solve this by doing 5x plus 5 equals 65. Okay. Let's solve that now. We can subtract 5 from both sides. Get 5x equals what? 60. Divided by 5. Get x equals 12. Are we done? Well, not quite. We got to find the value of y now. So y is right here. We have y minus x, and that was wx. So wx matches with what? qr. Where's qr? qr is the 6 right here. So we can do y minus x equals qr, which is 6. We can take this 12, we can plug it in for x. So y minus 12 equals 6. Add 12. We get y equals 18. Okay? So basically using the properties of congruent figures, by matching up the congruent corresponding parts and angles and sides, we can figure out and solve for different missing lengths. All right. Excuse me. Why don't you guys go ahead and try checkpoint 1 and 2 now. I'll zoom out here so you can see everything. Try checkpoints 1 and 2. Go ahead and try this on your own. All right, so let's go ahead and do checkpoint 1. We're trying to list all congruent sides and all congruent corresponding parts. Okay. So here is the congruent statement. So we can match angle F is congruent to what angle? Angle S. Angle G is congruent to what angle? Angle T. Angle H is congruent to angle U. And angle J is congruent to angle V. Now I got to do side lengths here, so let's do that. So we do FG is the first one. It's congruent to ST. GH is congruent to TU. HJ is congruent to UV. And then we can do JF, or FJ, is congruent to VS. And those are the congruent corresponding parts. Okay? All right. Now I got to find the value of x and find measure of angle G. All right. Well, G is this letter right here, and T is right here. So G and T are going to match up. So here's G, here's T. We can solve this by doing 2x minus 7 equals 103. Solve for x, add 7. 2x equals 110. Divided by 2. We get x equals 55. And we got to solve for measure of angle G. Well, here's actually a shortcut. So we know measure of angle x is 55. But if this is 103, what's this have to be over here? Well, it's also going to be 103, but we can plug it in there if we want to. So measure of angle G, let's just do this just to check. It's 2 times 55 minus 7, which equals 110 minus 7, which does equal 103. But if they're both congruent, you can just say that the other one's going to be also 103. Okay? All right, third angle theorem. This one's actually not too bad. Basically, if two angles of a triangle are congruent, then the third angle is also going to be congruent. So we're going to do 3 arcs right here. So are also congruent. Right? That makes sense, right? Only if 2 angles are congruent, then the third angle also has to be congruent. Okay? All right, so let's keep moving along here. It says find measure of angle V. We're going to call angle V X, actually. Make it a little bit easier here. Let's call that X. Okay? So we're going to work our way across this diagram here to find measure of angle V. So let's do what we know here. So we know this arc means that this is 66. This is also going to be 66. Now what do we know about these two angles right here? Well, if that's 44, those are vertical angles, which means this is also going to be 44. And we can solve for this triangle over here. Triangles add up to how much inside them? They add up to 180. So we can do x plus 66 plus 44 equals 180. Combine like terms, we get x plus 110 equals 180. Subtract 110, we get x equals 70. So measure angle V is going to equal 70 degrees. All right. So yeah, there we go. All right, we're going to skip example 4. It's not a good proof. We'll do better proofs later. Keep moving along. All right, properties of congruent triangles. Reflexive property. All right, so basically, triangle ABC reflexive was that, so remember we had itself, flip-flop, and therefore. Which one was the reflexive property? This was itself. Okay, it was itself. So if for any triangle ABC is congruent to itself, which is going to be triangle ABC. Okay, symmetric property. If ABC is congruent to DEF, then we flip-flop. We do DEF is congruent to what? Triangle ABC. So that was flip-flop. Okay. Transitive property. Therefore, if ABC is congruent to DEF and DEF is congruent to JKL, then triangle ABC is what? That was really bad. Let me fix that. ABC is congruent to triangle JKL. All right, and that was the 3 dots, or therefore. Okay? All right. Yeah, I don't really like example 5 all that much. So I think we're going to skip that one. We're going to skip example 5. All right, and then the last example we have here, checkpoint 3. In the diagram below, what is the measure of angle D? Why don't you guys see if you can figure out what this is using the third angle idea that we talked about earlier. Give it a try. All right, we're looking for measure of angle D, which is this one right here. This is X, okay? So let's see what we know here. So what we know is so this is also going to be X right here, right? Because these little arcs mean that they're congruent, right? What do we know about this angle right here? Well, that is 47 degrees. It is vertical angles with 47. So now we can add these up. We can do X plus 71 plus 47 equals 180. Combine like terms, we get X plus 118 equals 180. Subtract 118. We get X equals 62 degrees. So measure of angle D, which was also that arc there, is going to equal 62 degrees. All right, and that is all I had for you today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will talk soon.